Hi friends, this is Adrienne Green, Realtor with Sampson Properties here, and as our weather starts to cool off, I wanted to talk to you really quickly today about 3 very important things that you need to do to prepare as you're going to start heating your home to stay safe. I am not somebody who's all dramatic or anything like that, but honestly, these are potentially life or death things because if we have some issues with our heating systems in our houses, we can have carbon monoxide leaking in our house, we can have fires, and so these are really big issues that honestly do affect people in the United States every year. So it's really important that we are careful with these items. So getting right into it, the first thing here is you need to get your HVAC system checked. If you have not had a checkup in a while, then get an HVAC technician out there and get your system checked. When we start getting into the heating cycle and we start to turn on our heat, there is a potential for carbon monoxide issues. That's not an issue at all when you're only using the air conditioning, but if there's something wrong with your system when you're heating and you have a carbon monoxide leak, you're only going to know about it once you turn that heat on, okay? So it's very important because of potential with carbon monoxide issues if you haven't had your heating system checked in a while to get an HVAC technician out there. And honestly, you want to call them as soon as possible because they do get backed up. So call if you haven't already and make an appointment. Generally, HVAC companies like to check a system twice a year. They like to do a spring check in the spring before you start turning on your air conditioning, and they like to do a fall check before you start turning on your heat. So that's their recommendation, but it's really important because you could have a system issue and you could have a carbon monoxide leak. And I have heard of these things happening in systems with people that I know. So it's not just a potential, it seriously happens, right? Especially if you've got an older system, more than a few years old. Get it checked because these parts in these systems do degrade or fail. That is not uncommon at all. All right, second thing I'm going to mention, if you have a wood stove or a wood burning fireplace, when was the last time you got it swept by a chimney sweep? Getting a chimney sweeping costs roughly $100, and it's very important to get that done to clear out the creosote that lines that flue. Creosote is highly flammable, and if you have a lot of buildup in there, you could be setting yourself up to have a fire in your chimney flue. All right, so they generally recommend getting it swept once a year. I would note it depends on how heavily you burn and how you burn. If you burn really hot or not hot leads to different creosote buildups, but a good rule of thumb is getting that chimney swept every year. So if you did not get it swept in the in the spring, when you stopped having fires, then you want to call a local chimney sweep and get an appointment scheduled to get your chimney swept this fall. The third thing I'm going to mention, and I have a little visual here, is this is our fabulous, I know, it's pretty simple, but I love it, ash bucket, all right? So if you have a wood burning fireplace or stove, as you'll know, ash accumulates in it, and you have to get that ash out periodically, right? Maybe you do it after every fire. Maybe you let it go until there's so much ash in there that you really got to get it out to have enough room for your next fire. That doesn't matter. What does matter is when you get that ash out of there, that you are putting it into a container with a lid so it is sealed and oxygen is not getting in there. I know they make some super cute little ash buckets that don't have lids. Those are not very functional. You want to have an ash bucket with a lid. For years, we used the basic one from your Home Depot or Lowe's. They cost 16 bucks. Stainless steel, metal. You need a metal bucket for this with a lid. For years, we used that. Last year, Plow and Hearth had a fabulous sale for Black Friday, and we upgraded to our pretty one that we have now. But either way, lidded metal bucket that you're putting the ash in. And the fire experts say that you can have coals surrounded by ash that are still active for up to 4 days. So when you put that ash in that lidded bucket, you want to ideally keep it in there for 4 days before you're doing anything with it, all right? Then when you take it out of there, ash is good as a soil amendment for the garden. Some people spread it out there, some people put it in their compost piles, but you want to dispose of it without other flammable material around, all right? So if your compost pile is a pile of leaves that you raked up this fall, do not put your ash on top of that pile of leaves. It may look totally dead, but it happens. It happens every year in Northern Virginia where there is a house fire because of improperly disposed of fireplace ash, all right? I'm tired of seeing it in the paper. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage. It endangers people's lives, and it is very preventable. So keep your ash in a sealed container for ideally 4 days or more, and then dispose of it where there are no other flammable materials around. Spread it in your garden, or if you have to, you can always wet it if you feel like you're worried about something in there being potentially flammable still. Pour water, spread it out, and get it wet after that, all right? So 3 things today to keep you and your family safe. First, get your HVAC checked by a technician if you haven't already this year. Second, you are going to get your chimney swept if you haven't already this year and you have a wood-burning fireplace or stove. Third, again with our wood-burning fireplaces or stove, you're going to have a lidded metal container to store your ash when you sweep it out of your item, and then you are going to keep it in that container for ideally 4 days and then spread it in an area where there are not other flammable things, all right? Let's have this be a great year for Northern Virginia where we don't have house fires that are preventable or carbon monoxide issues that are preventable by proper maintenance, all right? So everybody stay safe, enjoy your cozy warmth here in your houses with the cooler weather outside, and if you have any questions or you need any resources for HVAC technicians or chimney sweeps, just reach out and I'm happy to help. Thank you, Adrienne Green, Realtor with Sampson Properties. Have a great day.